Hello, readers. Welcome to Book Launches with Kelly Lynn Colby, editorial director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Today, we celebrate the release of One More Turn by D.H. Dunn, who writes fantasy and adventure fiction for readers who enjoy unexpected heroes, deep characters, unusual monsters, and imaginative worlds. He's the author of 10 published novels, including the Fractured Empress series. A former U.S. Navy sailor, he now wanders the coast and forest of Maine looking for hope and adventure wherever he can find it.
I love when the horns come in.
Right, me too. Especially when we talk over the horns so no one can actually hear them.
That's preventing them from coming in.
Part. That's right. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on your book launch.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so exciting to be here. It's great to meet both of you. It's been a long time goal of mine to get to know you guys. And I wrote the whole book just so this would happen.
Just so you could be on our brand new book launches cast. Yeah. I love it. No, actually, it's great to have you back. We miss meeting every week. So, and not that we never get to see you because you stream all the time. So it's so much fun to log on and see you stream and have fun.
Yeah.
So that's nice. We get to see you.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, it's, I understand. We did a little bit of this beforehand. I understand. I support the way things went, but the year and a half or so of Cursed Dragon Ship was really great, and the Cursed crew and Greg and I know have great nostalgia for it already. We have nostalgia for something that is only a year ago, so right. It's great. So it's great to hang out with you guys again.
Yeah, we'll see. We get some hired help around here. Maybe I can do it again. Maybe I'll just hire someone to be the DM and then we can do it again.
Yeah.
Then we can make it work. That would be awesome. No, we miss it. But speaking of DM, your new book, One More Turn, it is a game lit.
Yep.
So we've had a lot of lit RPG authors on here from your publisher, Shadow Alley Press, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. So we've had a lot of lit RPG, but not a lot of game lit. Can you tell us what the difference is between the two?
This isn't awkward. So, as it turns out, it's a little bit more lit RPG than I initially had intended it to be. So, I had an understanding of what the distinction was between these two terms, and they are, I think, an evolving term. But
sure. It is a new genre, yeah.
My understanding of game lit versus lit RPG was that, for the most part, game lit was a world that operates with game-like mechanics versus lit RPG with someone being transported fully into the world. And they are very loosely defined for both of them. You will see it applied to multiple different things. But in preparing the marketing for this book, we came to understand that the system of combat is so important to the story that tips it over the line into the lit RPG side, because in the lit RPG side, the system is king. And on the game lit side, the system is important, but it can be more window dressing. It's definitely not window dressing on mine. It's definitely critical to the plot. The book wouldn't be the book without it. So that makes it more lit RPG, which I did not know.
Got it. There you go. I'm learning about these. Does that mean there's charts and stuff in here? Because I've only gotten to the first chapter.
There are not charts. I wanted charts and I wanted maps, but we're limited on, what's going to print and, how hard is it going to make formatting and vellum and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
So, but there are copious game screens and stat screens and ability descriptions and all of that.
Gotcha. It's all in there. And I saw that the second book is already up for pre-order.
How
many books are going to be in this series?
3.
3? Oh, I love it. I love
it. The story is built for 3 with the option for more, which is generally how I construct everything.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me. I always try for 3 and I end up with 5. I don't know. That's just what happens. Apparently that's my process.
Right. I wrote 3 Everest books and ended up with 8.
So I shouldn't feel bad? Is that what you're saying?
No. But in that case, and this is definitely something we can talk about a lot during this, I was making the decisions. And those decisions were not necessarily budget and finance driven.
Right.
And in this case, they are. So, we'll get 3, and then the market will determine if there will be more.
That makes sense to me. Well, we are definitely excited about this. I said I
Absolutely.
pre-ordered my copy, so I am excited to read more than I had time for today. So because it caught me right away.
Mhm.
So
Thank you.
it's really well done. But I've always loved your writing, so that's not a big surprise for
Thank you.
me.
Thank you.
But if you can get me to read Lit RPG, that's an accomplishment. So you'll have to write that down somewhere. Even Kelly read it.
Well, I think it's a little bit, in some ways, I think it's a little bit easier for a non-lit RPG reader to get into than some of the other lit RPG, because it does ease into it. It does
Mhm.
give you an entry point, and because it's focused on a turn-based style combat that many of us through Dungeons and Dragons are familiar with, about everything taking, you have an action, and you have certain things that you can do, and then you're done, and then they do things, and then it comes back to you doing things. That's a format a lot of people are familiar with. And so I think it's easier. It's a little bit more digestible to a non lit RPG reader.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Treat us, be slow and gentle, please. The I'm sure there's probably none of that in yours. If this is anything
I
like when
didn't
you
even
play D
go
and
there.
D,
Gosh,
see, I
you
know,
and Jess
I know.
Jess Astra.
What can we say? What can we
Yeah,
say? It's in our
romance
DNA
writers,
somewhere.
man. Yeah,
I don't actually write romance, but I probably should.
I thought there was some
Um,
romance in your books. None?
no, well, I mean a little bit in the new series,
Okay.
but it's happened accidentally. It usually does. But the doesn't mean I don't think about it and torture you with it. And so, wondering, we talked earlier that we used to play D&D together, and I'm
Yeah.
wondering, did that influence this book at all? That experience?
Tremendously,
Yeah.
tremendously. Yeah, very much so.
Hmm.
And the two things that I think influenced it the most was how much I myself, because that was really my only D&D playing experience, was that, since I was like, 20 or so.
Hmm.
And how much time I would spend while other people were taking their turns, thinking about what I was going to do on my turn, but then having to adjust that based on what happened during the other turns. And so you have this kind of evolving plan that you have. Um, that was very influential in wanting to get into that headspace of having to, because there's more action going on than you think. Even when you're not taking your turn, there's a lot of mental action happening.
Yes.
All right, maybe not as much when I was playing Kezrea, but at least with Ishanis, there was a lot of thought going into what was I going to do next. Oh, wait, nope, can't do that. Oh, wait, that happened. So that was very influential in getting inside Tarn, my main character's head, because he's directing not just himself but the whole team. So he's paying attention to what they are all doing and then making adjustments based on that. And then the other piece was just the camaraderie, and just
Yeah.
how the group works as a group, and
Hmm.
how when we worked as a group things went well, and when we didn't work as a group things did not go well. And I just liked that. I wanted to capture that as well, rather than a group of strangers getting thrown together. I really wanted a group of people who already knew each other and already kind of had that. So this would be like if the Cursed Dragon ship had a new adventure and
Hmm.
we picked up with them there. Those bonds have already been built.
And we have a backstory.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I love it. I love it. And it's funny you said that, because when, like I said, I just got through like most of the first chapter,
Hmm.
and you had like a really cool foreshadowing in there, because you had the mentor character talking to your
Hmm.
main character, Tarn Aerisfall, and
Yep.
he said, think during your turns, like
Hmm.
think during them. And I was like, ooh, I bet that's going to be important later. I'm wondering, did you put that in on purpose, or
Yeah.
was that just something that happened naturally?
No, I mean the opening scene of the book is
Mhm.
two characters playing effectively a game of chess. I change it a little bit, but it's basically chess. And I mean, I think it's not the subtlest analogy that's ever been written, but I wanted to establish from go that
Mhm.
this is what this is, and that, and so and to establish what Tarn's kind of challenges were, which is that he doesn't always think about what he's doing, and that's how he ended up in prison in the first
To begin
place.
with,
And
right?
and to have that be, kind of a starting point to where they end up at the end of the book.
I love it. Well, that was another interesting thing to me because reading your other books, you do a lot of female point of view main characters, and this one is male. So why did you decide to change it?
A lot of reasons. I do have some male POV led books. Shades of the Sea is dual POV. One of them is male. I guess some of the later Everest books have Drew as the main POV, and Drew's a main POV character through all of the Everest books. Even if Nima's on the cover, it's almost a double act between the two of them.
Gotcha.
But it is definitely true that what I have felt weirdly more comfortable writing female characters than male characters. In this case, I wanted to put myself where I wanted to challenge myself to kind of, okay, you somehow are able to make likable female characters. Can you do this with a male character? What is the problem? And to kind of examine why I had trouble with that. And so I knew from go that Tarn was going to be, Tarn. And when I come up with stories, I usually don't know the gender of the main character. It
nice.
will just, appear to me at some point.
Gotcha. Are you more plot driven when you start things or more character driven?
I'm premise driven.
Oh, interesting answer. What do you mean by that?
Well, like, in the case of One More Turn. One More Turn started out, the pitch was very basic, elevator pitch, the A-team in a dungeon. That's One More Turn. That's where I started.
That would have sold me. Yeah.
Right. That's where I started. The A-team in a dungeon and it's turn-based combat. That was all I had when I started. And then I had to, answer all the questions. Well, who's on the team and why is it turn-based? And why are they in the dungeon? What's the deal? And so that's all of it. The Everest series all started from not Nima, not, anything with the plot, but rather what if they summited Everest and there was a door there? That's where that starts. Shades of the Sea. What if, what if a detective's partner was his dead wife? That's a little bit more, specific in terms of character, but it's still more of a premise than this specific person.
What would the world look like? What would you go through? No, that makes perfect sense. That's very, I like that. I like that answer. Different way to form things. It's more proof that there is no wrong way to do this.
It's not by design. It's just how my brain works. So
you're like, I had no choice. Okay, I had no choice.
But I know someone who has a cartographer character that she's working on building a story for, but she's got the character. And I can't imagine having the character before anything around them. And then, I know lots of people who have the plot, but they don't have the characters. I can't imagine that either. Like I come in kind of in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle. Makes sense to me. Yeah, Avatar says that the more they learn about you, that the more they question if you guys are not just clones, because they agree with you 99.9% of the time.
Well, that's very kind. That's very kind.
That's very nice. Maybe you can get him to do some of your work. Just have them do it for you. Would that work? You just pawn some of it off. I'm sure it'll work. Which, speaking of your work, I think it's really cool that you have self-published a bunch of stuff. You got a lot of indie published stuff, and this one was actually through the publisher, Shadow Alley Press.
Yep.
And what was like the difference between doing everything yourself and then actually like working with the team to get it done?
When you are working with a press, you don't have the final say on anything. But you don't write any checks. So it's a good mix. And there's a good set of checks and balances. And saying that I don't have the final say does not mean that I was dictated to, really, ever.
Right.
There's a genre review process you have to go through at Shadow Alley. There is a genre editor who is specific, not reading to see if you wrote a good book. Did you write a good lit RPG book? And so that editor does not actually edit your book from the grammar and even plot perspective, but rather are you hitting all the correct tropes, or are you subverting them in a good way? Is this going to be satisfying to this audience? And that's probably the one person who really dictates to you and says, you need to change this, you need to change that, because if they don't approve your book, it doesn't go forward.
It makes sense. You have a very specific audience that you're writing for.
Exactly. And this is actually a process. As the operations person, I brought in. Like, this was partially my idea. There was a different way that they used to do it before, and I came in
Hmm.
and I felt like what if you did it this way? And we've been really happy with the results of that.
Good.
But at a high level, to answer your question,
Hmm.
there's a team that's working with you. There's people who are way better at the non-writer parts than you are or ever will be. And suddenly you don't have to do that. Not only could I never afford this cover, I
Hmm.
never could have made this cover happen even if I had the money because I can't speak art the way Jess Astra can.
Yeah.
Because she's the art director there.
Hmm.
The editor that I worked with is as good an editor as anyone that I work with on self-publishing. I was really lucky to mostly work with Joshua Esso, who's amazing.
Who's
But
awesome.
in
Yeah.
the end, Joshua Esso could say, "Hey, do this, do that," and I go, "Yeah, screw you. I'm not doing that."
Hmm.
I didn't have that luxury here, nor did I with you when you edited my short story. And
No.
so everything's a conversation, and
Right.
so they never dictated one time, but there
Hmm.
were points where there was a conversation about, what is the marketing going to be like? What is and that's so great because I don't know this stuff.
Hmm.
And if you look at the sales record of the Fractured Ever series, I really don't know this stuff. Like I know how to write a book that I'm happy with, but I did not sell that book.
Yeah.
And these guys are way, way better at that than I am.
Yeah. They know what they're doing. Yeah. I've been watching. Your sales have been doing really well. So nicely done. You hit the right
I'm
target. So
I'm not. I haven't paid very, very little attention to that because I don't want to freak out about it.
isn't that part of your job? Don't you have to keep track of that?
Normally, Jeanette is taking this one for me so that I don't have to do that.
Now that's support right there.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great. Yeah, and
I love
they're
it.
amazing. They're wonderful, wonderful people, and I'm really, really
Oh, for
lucky to
sure.
work with them.
Yeah, I agree. I adore Shadow Alley Press. It's a great group of people, just in general, both authors all the way up. So they're highly
Yeah.
recommend.
Yep.
If this is what you write, I highly recommend them. Um, and then, so this one, the world that you've built here, is this a new world for you? Is it connected to any other world? Is it like what have you made here?
This is a new world. However, um, I mean, it's a secondary world fantasy, so it's not Earth or anything like that. This is a
Hmm.
new world that I have created. However, loyal readers of D.H. Dunn
Hmm.
will see connections to other series. They are there really just as a nod to them. I bring in monsters from a lot of different worlds. I brought in a couple from Fractured Everest. They work perfectly fine if you don't know they're from Fractured Everest, but if you have read Fractured Everest, you'll go, "Oh, I know what that is. I know who that is." One of the really fun things that I got to do is because you do so much ability descriptions. If you've ever played an MMO or something, and you know, and you have some sort of ability, shield bash or something, and then they'll have here's it does 10 damage, it does this and that, and then there'll be like lore text. This is also common on like magic cards and stuff. I
Hmm.
went crazy with the lore text, as a lot of it being either nods to games that I love or
Hmm.
people that I know or other books that I've written, or in a lot of cases, the lore of the world is in the lore text of the abilities. And because the dungeon that's giving you these abilities is both sentient and a mind reader, in
Hmm.
many cases it's pulling them out of the heads of the characters. And so if you pay attention to the lore text, it actually tells you more about the characters than you would know otherwise.
Oh, that's fascinating. What a good idea.
I had a
Put it
lot of
all in
fun with
there.
that.
Yeah. Well, I noticed like the cover, it's very like mountain and snowy, and it makes me think of the Long Dark that you play all the time on
Yep, yep,
Twitch.
yep, yep.
Like how much did so we talked about how D&D influenced you. Did like playing like Long Dark, which you've seemed to have been playing for years now. Did that influence the setting at all?
The Long Dark was not a huge influence on this one. The
Mm,
setting was more influenced by just kind of my love of snowy wastelands in
yeah.
general, which dates back to Everest and all of that. It starts with the prison. Where am I going to put a prison? Let's put it in a mountain off in the Arctic wasteland, because then even if you escape, you're dead anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like, it's a good place to put a prison. Rurapente, like, it's a good
Hmm.
place to put a prison. And that's kind of where it started. They're actually not in this setting for more than about 10 chapters, and then they're inside the dungeon, but it was a
Gotcha.
good look for the cover.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. I love that cover. So it's
And
fantastic.
The Long Dark, weirdly, is a huge part of the second book, which has a jungle on the cover. Because they're in a jungle for the last third of the book, and we already did snow, so we're not going to do that a second time. But the truth is about a third of that book is in snow, and in a very Long Dark influenced, not just in the setting,
Mhm.
but in the mechanics. While they're in that Long Dark portion, their survival mechanics show up, and they have to worry about temperature, and they have to worry about stamina, and they have to worry about those numerical values going up and going down and freezing to death and keeping their torches lit. And I crammed as much Long Dark in there as I could.
I love it. I love it. Just so you know, James Hunter dropped in and said, "Dude, this is an amazing book, and you are such a joy to work with."
Oh, where is he? I missed
He's
that.
on
Oh, it's on
Facebook.
Facebook. All right.
Yeah, he's on Facebook. But yeah, so that's awesome. Yeah, he's such a great writer, and the story is so unique, even inside the lit RPG space. Yeah, you definitely
Oh,
have a unique voice. I love that.
thank you.
Um, the so speaking of Long Dark,
Mhm.
your writing process is very fascinating because my on Twitch you have this
I
thing
should have
called.
realized we were going to go here.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go here because
I
it's
kill people to write
amazing.
books.
It's amazing. So
Not
you
everyone
have.
murders a book into existence like I do.
It's so helpful though for people like me. I need that co-working environment. So
Yep.
I'm on Twitch a lot looking for that co-working kind of thing. So
Yep.
I
Yep.
love the one that you have. So and I like to write in sprints. So if I can write in certain sprint time, a Nocturnal Druid put Will up there. And so you have
Yeah.
a thing called Will Stand Still that you will
Yes.
stream during the day on Twitch. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I think I can explain this without too much Long Dark knowledge required. But basically, the Long Dark is a survival game.
Hmm.
It is not like Green Hell or some of the other survival games that has like cannibals and stuff in it. It's literally just you in the Canadian wilderness and animals.
Hmm.
And the animals are not actually that sporadic. You kind of got to go run into them. But if the cold and the wind is the big danger in the Long Dark. So generally, when you start the game, you're outside and you want to find shelter as quick as possible. Because if you don't, you're going to die.
Yep.
But it takes him about 20 minutes to die if he doesn't do anything. And that's a good writing sprint time.
It's perfect timing. I love it.
So I just put him in an interesting location and then just let the man freeze to death while I go right. And really had no idea anybody would want to watch this.
I'm not sure "wanna watch it" is the correct description. It just works.
It's
Works.
become its own thing because there are lots of people who watch it for productivity,
Yes.
but there are also people who watch it for the Long Dark ambiance.
Mhm.
For they like to gamble channel points on how long will he live. They like to guess where he is because I hide where I am for the first minute, so they can't see where I started.
Mhm.
And I think they have a lot of fun with it. And we
Yeah.
have a theme song.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, you have an avid fan base that does all of this stuff, and they're just wonderful. And we have like almost all of them on tonight, so it's great to see
I
y'all
have
here.
wonderful friends whom I take horrible advantage of.
I mean, maybe, but also you're very supportive of your friends, so you know
I
it
try
goes
to
back
be.
and
I
forth.
try to be.
That's right. It
Corwin
goes back and forth.
Thistle is who does the theme song, and she's just a beautiful singer, and she's been wonderful.
Yeah, it says Kane H. They say
KH?
we
Yep.
watch it for Will's whining. I know. I mean, you know that the sprint's about to be up when he starts the moaning. You know, it's like, oh, it's almost there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
See,
Oh, that was too accurate.
there's
I
two
feel like I
characters
should
that
be
you can
rubbing
play
it.
in the Long Dark. There's Will and Astrid, and you would think that there would be more people playing Will or that it would be even. But the Long Dark community, at least on Twitch, overwhelmingly prefers Astrid because she doesn't pant the way Will does. Will just and he's there almost immediately. Like he picks one thing up and he's completely out of breath. And I don't know why they had Mark Meer do that take and then just go with it, but it's pretty crazy.
But it works. I love it. It's very inventive. I'm wondering, do you have any other like writer habits that are unique?
No,
For
I
you?
don't think so. Um, Not really. I do have a thing that I used to do where if I got stuck, I would bracket and I would do
Mm.
stuff like, you know, at first it used to be like close the scene, you know, say one more thing, something like that. Then it became a crutch. So
Mm.
it started fight scene here. Okay, that's not putting 5 minutes of work to the side. That's putting like a day's worth of work to the
Of
side.
research. Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And if you do that once, that's one thing. But if you keep doing that, then suddenly you have a book that you have to go back and fill back in. So I stopped doing that.
You're like,
I used to
I
do it.
can't count this as a draft anymore. I'm sorry. This is
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
So no, I don't think I have any like I have to have my special coffee cup or I have music that I would listen to if I'm not doing Well Stand Still.
Mhm.
But usually that's what I'm doing.
Yep. Makes
This
sense to
book was
me.
written almost completely on Will Stand Still, as was book 2.
I love it. I love it. So we got book 3 to go. I have a
Powered
complaint
by
though, because
Death.
you're not on at the same time every day. It's very hard for me.
It is the time that works, It's not always the same time. It's
Yep.
nothing I can do.
Well, it's like I tell everyone, right? It's when they're like, "Well, how do you get your writing done and you run the company?" It's like, "Well, just like everyone else, running the company is my day job, and
Yeah.
I write when I can." That just like
Yes.
everyone else, it's you think, "Oh, you get to write all day." I'm like, "No, I actually have
No.
a job." It just
Yeah. I get to write during the time that you are relaxing. That's when I'm
exactly,
writing. Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly it. So, it's just part of the gig, man, part of the gig. Um, let's see. I had a question here somewhere.
Well, and I can say that like my day is taken up by basically 4 different tasks each day now. There's always writing, there's always
Mhm.
the day job with
Mhm.
Shadow Alley. Then I am pretty much recording something for YouTube every day now. And
Oh,
uh
fun.
and the YouTube channel has really benefited from that. Now my YouTube videos used to get, 15, 20, maybe 30 views. Now they're
Mhm.
all getting, 100, 200, 300. I've had several going to the high hundreds or thousands. Because I'm
Nice.
trying to just be like here's your daily hour of Long Dark. And so I've been doing
Mm.
that. That's done well. Plus I have 2 or 3 hours of Twitch streaming every night. Um, the YouTube stuff, requires its own video editing that you got to
I
do.
say that's a
So
lot of editing, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm getting pretty fast at the video editing, so it maybe takes me
Mm.
about 10 minutes to edit an episode, so that's not bad.
Mm, I guess that's not the end of the world. It takes me 10 minutes just to cut off the endings and beginnings. So you're
Nah,
telling me we get better? Is that what it is?
you should use DaVinci Resolve. It's super. Like if you're doing your video editing in YouTube,
Hmm.
don't
No, I'm
because
not.
it's so
I have a program too,
okay. Good, good, good.
but I have a Mac. I don't. Do you use Mac?
I used iMovie on Mac
Okay.
and I liked it,
Hmm.
but when I switched to DaVinci Resolve, which is free, and amazing. I will never go back. DaVinci Resolve is fantastic. I'm a DaVinci. I'm like how people are about like Crosstrack or something. Like I'm like that about DaVinci Resolve. Like I will talk about that all day long.
Well, I'll have to try it because I'm not totally sold on what I am using now. So
Hmm,
I will take expert advice. It's not the end of the world. I mean, it works fine, but it just works
sure.
fine, right? So we shall see. So this book, first of all, I hope you're very proud of yourself because you should be, because we're super
I
proud of you.
am. I
Good,
am very proud. This was
good.
a lot of
Because
work to do this one.
yeah, and it's been a while since your last release, right? So it was
Yes.
so good to see something new out by you. So that's very
Yep.
satisfying as well. And so the release, I saw book 2 was up for pre-order, but I didn't see the release. What's the release schedule like?
February 27th, I think, is book 2,
Okay, so like 3
and
months. Nice.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
3 to 4 months, and book 3 will probably be 3 to 4 months out from that, which is what, like April,
Excellent.
May, something.
Hmm. Love it.
I haven't finished book 3, so we won't set a release date until it's done and edited. That's just something we do
It's
here.
just smarter. No, I'm with you on
Yeah,
that one. Makes sense
yeah,
to me. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we
We
have an
have
internal one, but we don't share it until we have the book in
exactly,
hand ready to
exactly. We have
go. Yeah.
hypothetical release dates that we put
Exactly.
down. Yes,
Exactly.
that's literally what we call it. But the pre-order doesn't happen until the book has gone to the editor.
Yeah, until we know it's ready. 100%. No, I'm with you on
Yeah.
that one. Um the is the are there any, like, I don't see you like go to a lot of events anymore. Like, do you have any events in your future where people can go and meet you?
I may go to Dragon Con next year.
Oh, yes.
I may.
We can have your actual head and not the fake head. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I've been working at Shadow Alley for 2.5 years now, and Jess Astro has never seen me in real life. Despite the fact that I consider her a close friend, but many of my close friends are
we
people
played D&D
I've
for
never
18
seen.
months.
Yeah. I don't travel a lot. And on top of that, I need to hit a point, I'll just be candid, where I feel comfortable with the health situation.
Oh, yeah, that's
And,
fair.
you know, my wife's health has been up and down over the past couple of years. And while I'm fine, the last thing I need to do is add something nasty to what she's already dealing with. Yeah. And even in this last round, people are coming back with stuff. And, you know, I've got all the shots and all the boosts and everything. And, you know, I would be very careful, but the consequences of that would be challenging. So the plan right now is to go. Because you know it's a long way from where we are, but that's why I haven't been in Superstars and other things, and it's also expensive.
Yes, that's the big part right there. That has a lot to do with it.
Now I'm in a case where I could go and possibly recoup the cost, whereas prior, going to something like Superstars, while I absolutely adore Superstars and I love everybody there, it's it's a straight up loss financially.
Yeah, it's not about selling books. So yeah, exactly. Now you just have a bunch, and you'll have all 3 out by DragonCon.
I'll have all 3 out by then.
So that's right. That'll be awesome. That'll be cool. Oh, don't get me all excited like that. That's not fair. You better come now.
You shouldn't get excited though, because this is my best version. The remote me is way better than the in-person me.
That's not, you forget, we adore you. So we will be very happy to have you there. We'll have Mikey Mason kiss your real cheek instead of the fake cheek. We're totally gonna get that.
All right.
That's right.
There you go.
He plays music for a living and asks you to give him money. He'll do almost anything for money.
Oh, wow.
Make that happen. Or rum. He's wonderful. He's also super talented, so it'll be fun.
Right.
That'll be great. No, that'd be great to have everyone. DragonCon is it's like the best kind of writers convention, because we get to do the writer convention part where we get to hang out with all the writers, but you also have a ton of readers. Excuse me. So you get to have that whole experience.
Awesome.
Yeah, with also selling to readers. So and meeting fans in real life. I mean, being a reader myself, I love to meet the authors and get their signatures and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You would think eventually I wouldn't be a fan anymore, but that's not true. Still a huge fan. So
absolutely.
Yep. It's awesome. So what's next for you?
Well, One More Turn 3. Tentative title is The Hammer Falls, which I think that's probably going to stick. Each of the dungeons each book has basically a focal point dungeon. They are all shaped like giant weapons. So the first one has a sword that's like 1,000 feet tall, and the second one is an axe, and the third one is a hammer. So that's why we have an axe to grind for the second one. But there's actually multiple reasons why the second one is an axe to grind, and multiple reasons why the third one is the Hammer Falls. It's not just the dungeon. After that, I have a couple vectors that I will go depending on how One More Turn does. One of them is going back to a certain interdictor and
yes, please.
revisiting
oh my gosh, please.
Some of that. I want to do that very badly because I had more that I wanted to focus on. But there is the question of, time spent versus, I this is the world that I'm in now, is I have to look at my time and say, what is that time going to cost me versus what can that time bring me? I wish I could just write for the love of writing. I'm lucky that everything I do that makes money, I also like doing.
But you still have to prioritize what those things are.
Money. Yeah.
Yep.
So
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
That's why I talk. I'm like, look, writer creative hat and now business hat.
I get so frustrated. I feel like writers are particularly singled out as it's not cool that they want to be paid. I feel like way more than other creatives. I think that if somebody says, hey, I made this beautiful painting. Whoa, that's awesome, dude. You going to sell that, put that in a gallery? Or, a band playing at a bar, no one says, oh, and you want to be paid? But
right.
But you spend months of your life on something, and people people get frustrated that oh, you're a sellout. You just care about making money. Hell yeah, I care about making money. I need
I like
freaking money.
eating and having a
Yeah,
house and a
exactly.
car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's frustrating
A
to me.
little
The other ones
rant.
are graphic artists. Everyone expects them to do stuff for
Yep.
free.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other one. So it's like, I have to pay my bills.
And I've certainly read what is the subreddit? Choosing Beggars, which is a very funny subreddit if you go to it, which is basically all just people saying, I wanted this for free. So it does happen to everyone. But I do think writers, even in general popular culture, are more chastised for wanting to be paid. And I think it's because everybody feels like they could do it if they wanted to.
Because they can
I
write.
can't pick up an electric guitar and play anything, but I can write. So you write, hey, I'd love to sit down and write a novel someday. I just can't find the time. Well, great. Good for you. Because that's the only
neither.
difference between you and me is you don't have the time.
It's the only difference. That's it.
It's the only difference.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, because how many times you get people coming up and saying, I have this great idea. If you write it, we could split the problem. I'm like, no. I think you're confused here. The writing's the hard part, not the idea part.
Yeah. I also have a great idea. Tell you what, I'll give you my great idea and you go write it.
And you write it. Let's go.
Right.
Let's make this happen. Yeah, I agree. I think people think writing is because they know their ABCs and they can read. They think writing is also easy. Yeah, you're probably exactly
and this
right.
one was by miles the hardest book I've written.
Well, it's a little out of your comfort zone, but yet
miles.
It's incredible. It's still your voice, though. Like, so was that a challenge, like to keep your voice but still fit in with the genre you were going for?
I think so. Yeah. The hard part, I had to spend like about 2 months just on the system, and I never had to do anything like that before. All my other books, they have magic systems, but they're not Sanderson magic systems. They're not incredibly arcane and complex. And I had to do that this time. And then I didn't realize anytime you do a fight scene in a normal book, even in a game lit or lit RPG book, you're focused on, you can have a flow. You don't have to do the play-by-play, of this person does this and this person does this and this person does this. But that's literally turn-based combat. Like, you actually do have to say what everyone is doing when it's turn-based combat. And so it doesn't slow things down pacing-wise, but it takes your outline that you thought was going to be a 90,000 word book and turn it into a 130,000 word book because you didn't think about all the words you had to write just about abilities and stats and shit. So that was the challenge. Really, it took a lot longer to do than I thought it would.
That makes sense. But now you've got it established, so it should be able to flow nicely through the next two books, right? Oh, I also want to say I appreciate that Tarn is actually rescuing his sister and not like a lover or a spouse, or I really like that too. So thank you for doing that.
Yes. Yeah. I have no issue with that. I mean, I've used that one too, but that was just where that character went.
Yeah. No, I like it. I don't have anything against the other either, but it's nice to not only see that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
There are other motivations. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's important to me also, as you meet his team, that, you see that they all have things that they care about that don't necessarily have to do with him. Because that's always been a big thing for me is everybody needs, even if there's a small character, they need to have something they care about. They're not just there, to be the person who said that line, that they have something that they want on their own. Especially love interest characters. It always bothers me when the love interest character has no other motivation except to be with the main character. It's just boring.
Yeah, I agree.
And I say that as someone who wrote that.
Well, look, we all have things where we begin, right? Like you learn things at the beginning and you learn as you go. So that's fair. It's just like picking up the guitar, right? You might learn 3 chords right away and then everything else takes time. That's the same thing with writing, right? It takes time.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
I think everyone, at least I talk to, cringes a little bit at our first books, right? We're like, oh, I don't know.
And, don't balance your 8-book series on the first book you ever wrote. Like, maybe it wasn't the first book I ever wrote. It was the first book I ever published. It was not the first book I wrote, but yeah. Because I'm like, oh, book 7 is so much better than this. Why is this the first one?
Lessons learned, man. Lessons
Yeah,
learned.
yeah,
No, I'm with you on that one.
yeah.
That was the bad part of no gatekeepers, right? Sometimes it's nice to have that team that tells
Exactly,
you what you're doing
exactly,
right and what you're not doing right. There is
exactly.
a balance between that.
And
Um,
running the books on Royal Road did a lot of that too, which I had
oh
also
yes,
never done.
I wanted to ask about that. So how helpful was that feedback from putting on a Royal Road
Tremendous,
first? Yeah.
tremendous, because it comes in very unfiltered. So,
They are honest. Huh? They are
yes,
honest
yes.
about how they feel.
Yeah, and this is, you are literally talking to the exact customer you're trying to sell to. So you are talking to, the diehard fans of the genre, and they view their time as valuable as anything, and
Mhm.
so they want, and it is a double-edged sword. Jess, you're right. Jen, excuse me. Um,
Mhm.
for some reason, I made that Jess Rainey when it's not Jess Rainey, it's Jen Bear. But it is a double-edged sword. But you get this kind of unfiltered feedback, particularly on the system stuff. That this is honest truth. I
Mhm.
had a math error in chapter 8 that I did not catch, and
Dave.
it had to do with a statistic. And
Mm,
because I didn't catch it in chapter 8, it was basically a hit point
carried.
statistic. It
Mm.
carried, so it was wrong, and then that then created other math errors because they were building off a wrong number, and somebody caught that. Nobody else caught that because they were reading it like someone, a genre reader, like a non-genre reader. They were reading it like I read Tolkien,
Mhm.
where if people were singing, I just went, okay, when do
Skip
they
that
stop
one. Yeah,
singing?
that's
Because I just wasn't into the singing. Forgive me.
no, I'm same.
I'm allowed to not pay attention to the singing if I don't want to.
Dragonlance, I love Dragonlance, but every time they do a
Yeah.
song, I'd be like,
Yeah,
nope.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Once words shift to italics, I'm out.
Out.
If they're like this, I'm fine. If they go like this, nope. Let me know when they stop.
Oh, I see. This is not important. Next.
Right. And I know people who do that with fight scenes. Like they're just like, okay, I
Oh.
just want to see who lived. And they don't
Mhm.
really pay attention to the fight scene, and that's fine.
Mm.
So
Nope.
yeah, but these people, like this is why they're reading the book, is
Mhm.
for this. So it
Yep.
was great to really have that kind of check. It was awesome.
That's pretty cool. I
Scary,
like
but
it.
awesome.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of a
Yeah.
I know this isn't ready yet, but I'm going to let you read it anyways. Yeah, that is a little terrifying, I think. Very brave of you, Dave. Did you know you were that brave?
No. No. I've done a lot of things this year that I did not think, like TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I never thought I would do that. You
Nice.
know,
What are
I'm
you doing on
making just,
TikTok?
I mean, I started off just using it as a place to put Twitch clips.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, oh, I could put this to music, which I can't do with Twitch. And
Mm-hmm.
oh, now I'm kind of enjoying this. And so then I started editing them, and so I started having more fun with it. And then
Mm-hmm.
I just started doing just kind of talk to the camera stuff. And so I'm learning my way through it.
Nice.
I'm in a lot of areas that I'm too old to be there, but no one has
That's my
told me to
problem.
leave. So
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not, 20 years old and cute anymore.
yeah,
I'm not sure what to do. So I just talk about the books, right? Like, so it's very awkward. I don't know if TikTok's the right place for me or not. So it's interesting. I mean, I'm on it. So
yeah,
like looking at it. So there has to be other people like me on it. So I just got
yeah,
to
yeah,
find them. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah. Yep.
What was weird, and you guys may be interested in this, is that
Mm-hmm.
since I was already formatting my Twitch clips for TikTok, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, well, I might as well throw them on YouTube Shorts as well. They did
Mm-hmm.
way better there. So
Nice.
just as kind of a side effect, they did a lot of good stuff over on Shorts. So I don't know whether Shorts just has less material. So you know,
Maybe, but I'll take it. And we do have a lot more stuff on YouTube. We've got years worth of stuff on YouTube that I could take
yeah,
clips from.
yep.
Um, so yeah, that's good advice. I like it. And I do want everyone, if Safa will put up the link again, please, if you have not gotten your copy yet, make sure to get that copy right now. You will
Thank you so
not regret
much.
it. And then also Dave, you are going to give away a couple signed books, yes?
I can give away one signed book to someone that I could ship it to.
Yeah, so
So
it has to
like
be
if you live in
US.
like
Yeah, yeah.
Zanzibar or something, I probably can't
I'm
do
sorry.
that.
Yeah, that's a lot harder. So it have to be in US, but if you would like to have your chance at winning this one, just join his newsletter. So Zepho will put up that link as well. And also you've got some free stories with your newsletter, yes?
Yes, I do.
So you can also get some free stories right now, and he will be giving that book away on his newsletter. I like this new format where it's now y'all's responsibility, not mine. I mean, that makes me happy. As soon as we can figure out how to do a giveaway on all platforms, we will do that. But we want to reach all of you wonderful people out there. So.
I think it's great that you're doing the simultaneous streaming thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Zapho's got it down. So the very final thing, who do you think is really going to love this book?
Anyone who has played Baldur's Gate 3 and said, I would love to be in this world and making these types of choices. Anyone who's played Baldur's Gate 3 and said, I'm not just enjoying the story piece, I'm enjoying the fighting and making the decision of, do I attack this guy? Do I attack that guy? I want a book where that part is in it too, not just the stories. The story stuff is there, the character stuff is there. That stuff is super important to me. But I also want to have the fight in it. And not have it be 2 paragraphs of he swung a sword and he blasted a spell, but literally the things that I'm thinking about when I'm playing the game, I want to read about somebody thinking about those things, those types of choices. When I level up, which abilities do I pick? Which ones don't I pick? Where do I put my points? That's all in there. So
I love it. I love it.
I want to break in and say those are 2 entirely different things. Because I don't want to live in any of those worlds. But they're fun to think about.
Yeah. Or watch someone else live in them. Yeah.
Yes. Whole nother thing. Let's face it, most of the stuff we write, none of us want to actually live there.
No.
But if we wrote about our actual life, it would be very boring.
Very boring. Absolutely.
Very boring. On our not
no one
boring
wants
days,
to read the
boring.
adventures of the pasty people who look at screens all day. Like that's not exciting.
Listening to our watch for when we're supposed to stand up. Yeah, no one wants to. That's just not fun. It's not fun. So that's great, Dave. It has been a pleasure to have you on again. Thank you so much for coming and celebrating one more turn with us.
Thank you, all of you.
Now, where can fans find you and your work?
I should have given this to you. I have a link tree now.
Ooh.
But I don't have it
Well, tell us what
ready.
it is for audio listeners, and you could type it in if you want. Yeah.
Well, I gotta go get it first.
Oh, no.
I don't know it off the top of my head because I don't know my links. Okay, it's linked. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Okay.
This is super professional. This is not their fault. This is my fault.
Hey, no, super professional podcast. That's our motto. So no, this is completely our alley.
That
totally
should have done it. So it's linktr.ee/DH Dunn. And that links you to my Amazon, my YouTube, my website, my Twitch, and my Patreon.
Excellent. So wherever it is you would like to consume your DH Dunn, click the link tree.
Please don't consume DH Dunn, but consume his books.
Well, if you're coming to Dragon Con, all bets are off. So we'll have it. Chris Dragonship, very professional. Exactly, yes. Greg. That's our line. That's it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dave. And
thank you, guys.
We shall see you soon. Like next time, poor Will has to die multiple times.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very, very much for having me. Thank all of you guys for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Go check out One More Turn.